Hello everyone, this is Marc from Complexity Card Gaming Pokemon, and today we are taking a look at round number this was 7 at the Sheffield Regionals, and as you can see, yep, that is me on the left. I actually played that round. The whole event was streamed, so I happened to be featured at when I was 5-1 basically. And you can't tell yet, but I am playing against the Mega Rayquaza deck from Jack, and he is playing Glaceon and Manaphy. And at this point I was like, oh yeah, that is definitely better than Magiana X, because if I play against Magiana X, he's just gonna block my Dark Hole GX, and I don't want my Dark Hole GX blocked. So I was kinda happy. I don't like to play against these super hyper aggressive decks, because as you can see from his setup, they just need an Ultra Ball and they can just explode in your face, because they can do Ultra Ball, then get a Hooper, and then get a bunch of the basic Pokemon and Shaman, and they can do so much stuff. It's actually disgusting, and this is one of the problems with the current format, because it pushes the basic X Pokemon in a very unhealthy direction. You can just throw everything that you draw onto the field, set up your board, and it doesn't matter what your opponent does. If he can't keep up, he's just gonna lose. And normally I'm not against setting up a board and winning, but the problem is you just need one Ultra Ball or one Hooper X and you're good to go. And that seems very troublesome, right? And here we actually see an insane openings. I've never actually seen the opponent open with both Mega Rayquazas turn 1 with a Spirit Link, so he can still do a lot more. He can still attach an energy, he could play even more stuff. And he didn't even play a supporter yet. It looks like he played a Sycamore, but he discarded Sycamore. He's just doing a bunch of Trainer's Mail. And the reason I am just sitting there and laughing is because, my turn 1 won't be that great compared to yours. And I do remember that I had no supporter and no Shaman in hand. So I was kind of like, yep, that looks like a 0-1 start against Mega Rayquaza. Yay! So he ends his turn with a Hex Maniac, and he's like, yep, I'm gonna disrupt him, but Hex Maniac doesn't even do too much against my deck. You can Hex Maniac my Eevee, so that I can't evolve turn 1, but that is not too bad, honestly. It's whatever. Because the main way I have to go about this matchup is to remove all of his energies, and basically I have to find out if that is possible. Eventually he has to discard or play a Puzzle of Time, and if he doesn't run Puzzle of Time, I have to figure out if he plays Special Charge. So here I have the Parallel City, and you might think, oh yeah, Parallel, that will limit his attack, it will limit his damage output, but the problem with this is, if you play the Parallel, most of the time you actually help your opponent, because if they have a counter stadium and they do run 4 Skyfield, so they have 3 more stadiums, they will just be able to remove your Parallel City, and if they remove your Parallel City, they can just use Dragonite and then get back another Hooper or Shaman, and then do all the things that they did turn 1 again, and then you're like, oh man, he just drew 20 cards and has 200 Pokemon on the board and does 10 million damage. So, yeah, that is why Parallel is not too great, but you have to play it anyway because you have to force the Sky Field. And that is very important. The problem with the Rayquaza decks, or the all-in decks basically, is you will eventually be in a weird spot. If you want to remove all the energies, or really all the way that he can win, if you want to remove his win condition, you have to play the odds basically. You cannot play around everything because that is just how the format is right now. So the only way is you maximize your odds of him having something priced and not getting there. And if something sticks, for example, he can't attack because he doesn't draw into a double colors energy, or he doesn't deal enough damage because he has no access to his stadium, then you will eventually get an advantage, and with that advantage you will win the game. Now, I do attach the Dark Energy to Umbreon, evolve straight away. So now I have 2 Umbreon and a Tauros, and I'm like, alright, that seems reasonable, because I did actually flip Crushing on my heads on the Water Energy, but flipping heads here doesn't matter at all. It's actually better for him to have the energy in a discard pile. I guess strictly speaking, it's not better to have the energy in a discard pile, because if you have it only active, you just attach a double colors and do damage. But if you think about it, you want to discard a energy anyway. For example, there was a Mega Rayquaza Volcanion deck that was very successful at the last regional, and he played Volcanion X to discard the fire energy. So he wanted to get that energy in discard pile at all cost, so he could Mega Turbo it, and it is the same thing here basically. It doesn't matter too much that you flip Crushing on my head, because he can just play Mega Turbo. It's like we trade a Crushing Hammer for a Mega Turbo. It's whatever basically. And he also has the Mega Turbo, so he's like, you got it. He also has Sky Field, and like I mentioned earlier, now he can do Dragon Knight and do Hooper again and a bunch of stuff, and blah. Right? Doesn't look too good. And here we see that he played a Shaman for 1 and actually top decked the double colorless. So now he can knock me out, but if you've paid close attention to the game, which you might not have because my voice is so fabulous and you were just engulfed by it, but if you paid attention, he did not even play a draw supporter. So he versus Seeker Lysandered my Umbreon, and here I start to wonder, that looks bad. Now I need a lot of cards. First of all, I need to remove the double colors energy so that the chance of him actually attacking this turn are very low. And best case, I also need to remove the stadium. I have to remove all of the stadiums eventually to win the game, because like I said earlier, you have to just run him out of resources, and something will be priced eventually, and that will be your window to win the game. I do play Trainer's Mill here, I get a Floatstone, and I really get the Floatstone just to thin out my deck. He's not going to play a Lysander on anything to stall. He is playing a Lysander to just one-shot everything. And as you can see, I played a Delinquent here. And the reason I like the Delinquent here is, first of all, he will go down to 5 bench space. So he only deals 150, which is not enough. He loses a Stadium, and he loses more cards from his hand, which might hurt him. Obviously, I can't know that, but yeah. And I was like, alright, I'm just going to attach double colors to the Tauros, deal 60 and then be like, oh yeah, if he can knock me out, that's fine. But then I realized, wait, that doesn't make sense, right? I want to use Dark Claw GX, probably next turn. And if he attacks me and deals 150 to Tauros, I just need a double colorless. And then I can basically remove his Pokemon from the field, so it's like Dark Claw. But if I attach it to the Umbreon, I have more options. And having more options is crucial. So I attach the double colorless to the benched Umbreon, I attach a Floatstone because, I just want to thin out my hand. And then I played Shaman, and I actually got my one-off Enhanced Hammer, which is very crucial because now he cannot Lysander the Umbreon and kill it because he needs too many cards. He needs Versus Seeker, he needs another double colorless energy, and then he needs Skyfield and a Pokemon. So that's 4 cards, and I did discard 3 from his hand. It's not going to happen, basically. So I was very safe at that point. I was like, alright, that looks good. Now I just need to basically get anything next turn, then I can Dark Claw GX, and then he is screwed, basically. And what I really liked about at this point in the game is that I haven't seen any Puzzle of Time. And the moment I realized, like, maybe he's not running Puzzle of Time, I was like, alright, if he's not running Puzzle of Time, then I can just deck him out. Because, believe it or not, these Mega Ray decks, they only play 4 double colors and 4 basic energies at most. So, if you count Super Rod and Special Charge, they only have so many energies, and guess what? Umbreon, especially the Umbreon GX deck, they can remove so many energies. They have Flare Grunt, Crushing Hammer, Enhanced Hammer, and Dark Claw GX. Because he doesn't play Magiana X, I can use Dark Claw. And we do see he gets a Skyfield and another Pokemon and a double colorless. And that was what I was worried about. He also gets a Mega Turbo to the Mega Rayquaza. He even has another Pokemon and a Floatstone. And he even has a Shaman. So he's like, yep man, I gotcha. You're not going to win that game. And at this point I'm like counting cards in his deck. I'm like, alright, he has 5 cards in the deck. And then he plays the Super, and I was like, oh, okay. He has 8. He's not going to deck out anytime soon, right? And then I see that he only shuffles back Pokemon, and this is where I realize, alright, I got this game probably. Because something will be priced. I was checking his discard pile all the time. I was counting Versus Seeker, Skyfield. All these, of course the energy count, like double colors and water energy. I was counting these things, and I was really trying to make sure, yep, eventually something will be priced, and if one of these out is priced, he cannot win the game. And we do see he takes another 2 prizes, so it's basically this one Umbreon GX against the world. Or against Mega Rayquaza, I guess, but Mega Rayquaza is just sitting there being like, yep, I'm gonna one-shot you next turn. I do play Trainer's Mail and I get the Crushing Hammer, and I'm thinking to myself, if this Crushing Hammer has heads, then the game's over. And I do get the heads, and I just remove the double colors energy. It doesn't really matter which one, because I will use Dark Claw GX regardless. Because, like I said earlier, since he did play the Super Rod and didn't put any water energy back, there is no way he can win the game. We will just run him out of energies. We can also just play Lysander onto the Manaphy and Shaman, and we can just stall out the game basically. So he's in a terrible position. And here I'm like, alright, I'm just going to play the Lysander right now, because I have to play something, and I want to play it at this turn. Just to play it, have the option for Versus Seeker. And also I have to play a supporter card, and if I want to play a supporter card, then it's probably the Lysander. So I just played the Lysander and removed all of his energies, and there is no way he can knock me out at this point, and I know that. because he did already attach 2 float stones, and since he does run Manaphy, there is no way he plays 3 float stones, so I'm safe against that. He has no other switching cards in the deck, and the only thing he can do is attach a double colorless, Mega Turbo, then he has 2 energies on the Mega Ray. Still can retreat though, because like I said, there are only 60 cards in a Pokemon deck, so I was very confident that he couldn't pull it off, and I was like really safe. And now he does something which I really, really don't like. He attached the energy to the Manaphy and retreated, and then he played a Versus Seeker, and now he's like thinking about it, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play a Hex Maniac. And what does Hex Maniac do in this spot? I only used 2 abilities during my entire game. EV to Umbreon, I already have an Umbreon, and Shaman, and then Shaman is on the bench. So that was a very wasted Hex Maniac, and I was like, he has so many cards on hand, and he just Versus Seeker for Hex Maniac, so he probably has a ton of good cards in his hand, but he can't really play it because of the stall that I've been doing, and I'm like, alright, I just bounce back the Shaman and life send the other Manaphy, because now he needs another water energy, and basically it's like the last turn, right? But the only difference is now I have a Shaman in hand, so I can just Shaman and draw into supporter that I want to play. I don't want to play draw supporter, I want to play stuff like Lysander, Flare Grunt, Delinquent would actually be great. Stuff like that is what I really want to play, and this is why I was like, alright, I'm just going to attack with Shaman, bounce it back into my hand, and then be like, alright. And he's like, alright, I'm just going to attach my double colorless to the Rayquaza and pass. And this is the way you want to go about it, because next turn you can attach the energy to the active, Mega Turbo to the Mega Ray, and do 240 damage, right? But I know that, and now I'm like, alright, I have to make a few plays. First of all, I want to get a non-X in case he can do that, but doesn't have a Versus Seeker. He did play a fair amount of these already, so chances are that he doesn't have a Versus Seeker, right? So I was like, alright, I have to get that one first, just in case I whiff everything. Then I can just, strafe or retreat and still be safe. And of course I want to reduce my hand size so I can Shaman for more cards to hit my outs. And my outs at this point are Crushing Hammer. I really want a Crushing Hammer. A Flagrant, and still a Versus Seeker for Delinquent. Delinquent is really great still because he needs more cards. I do list the option to stall more of his bench Pokemon, but really if he can't one-shot me, then that's fine. And so I'm like digging through my entire deck. I'm like, oh my god, I need a Versus Seeker. I don't get a Versus Seeker, but I get another Crushing Hammer, and I'm like, alright, I got 2 heads already. There is no way I will flip heads here, but let's just get it. It was the best outcome from this trainer's mail. And I flipped a coin, and I flip heads. And at this point I was like, yep, what can you do? Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. That's Pokemon. That's flipping a coin. And at this point I was like, alright, there is no way I can lose this game anymore. I was like, yep. He needs just too many cards. And I do play a Delinquent here. And this is, like I said earlier, it is to increase the outs that he needs, right? Because if the Skyfield is priced, then he can't one-shot the Umbreon. And then I can just Flagrant his last energies, and that's game. Because he would be like, why would you play Delinquent here? You can just Lysander stall everything, right? He will eventually not be able to retreat. But unfortunately that's not how it works. Because at this point he can just wait. It's not like I can take prizes and pressure him. he can just wait. Eventually he will have the DCE Mega Turbo and regular energy combo, and he can just retreat, and I die, because he does a lot of damage. So I have to remove as much as possible from his side, and I have to play the odds. And here I was like counting the cards in his hand. I was like, man, I wish I could delinquent now. That would be, he would just lose the game instantly. I knew that, but I was like, okay, I can't do it. It's unfortunate, but I was like, alright, I'm just going to play the N. He will get the same hand size anyway, and it doesn't really matter what he has, because I want him to play the last Skyfield. The moment he plays the last Skyfield, that is the moment where he has to knock out my Umbreon. So when he plays Skyfield, he needs Lysander for the Umbreon, because if he attacks the regular Yveltal or Eevee, he's not going to win the game. If he can't win the game, he will lose the game because of the Flagrant. He will have no energies left to attack me. So he needs Versus Seeker for the Umbreon, double colorless energy, Mega Turbo, and another regular energy, and Skyfield. So he needs 5 cards. He only has 3 in hand right now. So I was like, alright, if he wants to do it, he has to Sycamore probably for his entire deck. But if he Sycamores for his entire deck, he can't Versus Seeker Lysander, right? So he has to Shaman for his entire deck, and he can only play Shaman if he has the last Skyfield. So now I'm like, okay, either the last Skyfield is priced, which means I cannot take a knockout, or the last Versus Seeker is priced, or the last DC is priced. Something has to be priced at this point, because otherwise I can't win the game. Or maybe he doesn't have enough Pokemon, is what I thought a few times earlier, but he played Super Rod for Dragonite, so I was like, yeah, okay, he's going to have the Pokemon. I'm very certain of that. And we do see him attach another energy and retreat, and again, not a huge fan, but it makes more sense in this case, because if he leaves the Manaphy active with an energy, I'm just going to Flagrant, and there are actually no targets that I can Lysander and stall with, because the Hupa has a Float Stone, the other Mega Rayquaza is the same as the active one, it doesn't change anything. The Glaceon has Float Stone, and both of the Manaphy have 1 water energy, so the stall doesn't work. And here I play a Kukui just to draw cards, and I attack with the Fright Night Yveltal and attach an energy to the Eevee, just in case he Lysander stalls me, then I have more outs to retreat my Eevee. But if he has Lysander, he will probably Lysander the Umbreon, right? So I just attach the energy where it actually made more sense to attach the energy, but it doesn't matter at all, really. And here I was like, alright, he's going for it. He's playing his last Skyfield, he's playing Dragonite to deal enough damage and also recycle the Shaman. And I was like, alright, please, don't screw me now, RNG. I know that something has to be priced. Really, anything has to be. It doesn't matter what. Just one out has to be priced, and he goes for the Shaman, and then he concedes. And I was like, alright, I got the DC and the Mega Turbo, and what was priced? Oh yeah, the Versus Seeker. And I was like, oh, whew. I was actually kind of relieved. I was like, man, Jesus, that was close. That was really close. And I was like, alright, I got it. And then I was checking my prices because I didn't see anything relevant when I searched my deck. And, well, 1 and 0. And to be fair, my opponent did waste a Versus Seeker on the Hex Maniac. So if he would have played 100% correctly, he would have won the game. That is for sure. Even with all the Crushing Hammer heads, I would have lost the game. But the reason for that is, first of all, his turn 1 was insane, right? He had Hooper, he had all the good stuff. He had 2 Spiritlings, and every time I removed the Skyfield, he just drew right back into it. So it was like, it was actually insane, right? It was like, it didn't even matter that I removed the cards, but luckily, in the end, we barely prevailed. And the commentators, they said something about, yeah, Marc has to think about conceding because time is running low. And they are right to a certain amount. Like, there are only 25 minutes left. So I knew, well, time will run low. That is for sure. But I was 5-1 at that point, and I was like, alright, if I happen to lose the first game, which I was pretty confident that I would win the game, honestly, I was like, alright, I will just pull through the second game, hope that he doesn't have anything, because that is the game plan against Mega Rayquaza, really. You hope that they don't have anything. If they have everything, you will not win the game. That is usually how it works. And if I have to draw, right, then I would just draw. It's like, alright, then I draw. I would be 5-1-1. I would need to win one more game out of 2 rounds to advance to top 32. So I was like, sure, win is a good outcome, draw is a good outcome. Alright, there is no reason to scoop early. I better try it out, I want to see if he plays a special charge as well. But I didn't see any, so I was like, okay, he's not playing that. And we do see the prize cards here, and we do see that his Manaphy, Glaceon, and Dragonite is prized, and the commentators, they make it sound like it's actually a big deal, but when you think about it, it doesn't matter too much. I cannot Lysander Storm in the early game anyway, right? Because how do I know that Manaphy is prized? There is no way for me to tell that Manaphy is prized. So Manaphy being prized doesn't matter. Dragonite being prized doesn't matter too much in the early game, because as you can clearly tell, I open with Shaman, so that is really bad for me, obviously. I do have 6 good openers in my deck, and Shaman is one of the worst. It is the worst, in fact, and I opened with it and I was like, I guess this will be a draw. I will most likely lose the game if he has a very good opening hand. And the reason I was laughing right there was he actually said like, I wish you didn't mulligan, because I did mulligan twice. And he took 2 extra cards, and because of these extra cards, he cannot really play anything. When we take a look at his hand, we clearly see that he cannot just play a Sycamore, because he has 2 Skyfields there. He has too much stuff that he cannot discard. And this is one of the problems with the deck. The inconsistency. You might be like, oh yeah, the deck is not inconsistent. You play 2 Hooper X and 4 Shaman. How can it be inconsistent? But the problem with Mega decks is that your hand is always very clunky. You have a lot of cards that you want to play at a later stage in a game, but you have it in the early stages, and then it's just in the way of Shaman. Because you want to have the least amount of cards in your hand as possible to draw more cards of Shaman. But if you have, for example, Mega Turbo, a Super Rod, or versus Seeker, all that kind of stuff in the early game, Skyfield, too many Skyfields in that case, too many double colorless energies, all that kind of stuff in your hand, then it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 10 Shaman if they only draw 1 card or 2. So this is the inconsistency of the consistent decks, especially the Mega decks, and especially Mega Ray in this case. Because Mega Ray relies on double colorless, and he did not play the double colorless. Or actually, he did play the double colorless. And I immediately punished that with the enhanced hammer. And I was super happy about that. especially since he had a really slow opening hand. And guess what? He top decked into another double colorless. Well, if we take a look at his hand, we do see that he has 2 double colors now in his hand. So he cannot play a Sycamore, and he has to be really careful about what he discards here. And it is very awkward, because he knows I can run him out of all of his energies, and he has to think about this turn. This is a very, very difficult turn. Against other decks, it wouldn't be that crucial, because you only need 2 or 3 double colors at most. But because I do run Energy Disruption and I have Dark Core GX, which does remove his energies as well, he has to think about it. It's not very easy to play around all of that energy removal and still win the game, right? And every time he discards an energy, he's not happy. Unless it's a basic energy, which he just discarded. Then he's like, if he has to discard a double colors energy, he's really unhappy. And we do see he plays a Shaman for 3 cards, I think, and then he plays an Ultra Ball and get more stuff from his deck. And here I'm like, alright, he's playing another Shaman for just 3 cards, and Shaman for 3, that would actually be pretty fair, right? So I wasn't that worried. My Umbreon is just sitting there, very happily. And also, talking from my perspective now, I had a Floatstone in hand last turn, and I had the option to use turn 1 Strafe on the Shaman, and I could have done that and then next turn Shadow Bullet and knock out the Shaman and put 30 on maybe another Shaman. But the reason I don't like this play is because it limits my options. And this is especially true in this case, where he just Lysanded the Umbreon to actually get rid of cards in his hand. And now I can just attach the Floatstone, and I have a lot more options basically. I can, first of all, attach a double colors to Shaman and get a Shaman back, because as we know now, it is not required to actually deal damage to Mega Rayquaza to win the game. We can just run him out of energies. And I can also attack with the Fright Night Evaltal, which is a lot better, because if he doesn't have a Lysander again, he will play into the 7 prize game, and that would be really devastating for him, honestly. So this is why I didn't play the Floatstone. It is very tempting to just attach the Floatstone, but it does make more sense to just hold it and just wait. And I get very much rewarded here, because as a matter of fact, I had no supporter card in hand, and now I can just, play the Parallel first, reduce his bench space and his damage output, and then I can use the Sky Return attack, and get the Shaman back into my hand, and next turn I will be able to use the Shaman and get out more stuff, and then maybe attach double colors to the Umbreon GX and start dealing damage. So if I would have attached the Floatstone to the Shaman, this game could have been completely different, because I would have had no way to get the Shaman back into my hand, and if I can't get the Shaman back into my hand, I have nothing to do next turn. So just don't throw your Floatstones onto your Pokemon for like 30 damage. It was tempting at first, but do I really win the game if I knock off one Shaman against a Pokemon that does 240 damage to my Umbreon? No, I will not. So playing very safe and playing around a lot of stuff actually is rewarded here. And I played around the Lysander, and he did play the Lysander, so yay to me in this case. And now I did remove his Skyfield, but he just slams down another Skyfield, which we do know because he had it in his opening hand twice. And he is going through his deck here, and I'm actually not sure what he's thinking about, honestly. It's like, he played the Skyfield really fast, the Skylar really fast, and then he was like, what do I even get with the Skylar? And this just blows my mind, because if you play a card that specifically searches for one trainer card in your deck, how can you justify playing something like Skylar over a Sycamore or an N, or really anything that just refreshes your hand? And at this point, I kind of knew his hand must be really strong again, and he's just playing it slowly. And when he attached the double colors to his Shaman and just used the Sky Return attack, I was very certain. I was like, alright, his hand must be ridiculously strong. It must be loaded with a bunch of stuff. With it, well, now I know the double colors energy, and I don't know what else. Here I play a Crushing Hammer, and I do flip heads, but honestly, if we take a look at the board situation, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at all if we flip heads or not. What is he going to do next turn? He only has one Skyfield left. Does he play the Skyfield first? We remove that Skyfield. Play another Skyfield, remove the Sky. He has two Skyfields left. And he has still a bunch of cards, and he still has 6 prizes. So the chances of him actually getting another Skyfield next turn are ridiculously low. And even if he can knock out the Yveltal, we don't care. So unless he has exactly Skyfield, Hooper, Dragonite, you can't have the Dragonite because that one's priced. But unless he has a ton of Pokemon in Skyfield and Versus-Seeker Lysander to kill the Umbreon, we don't care. So the coin flip wasn't really relevant. We also have Darkhold GX. So even if he just attacks with his Rayquaza X, we can just, worst case, Darkhold GX all of his energies. And then he, I guess, has only 1 or 2 double colors left. And he still has to take 6 more prizes. So he is in a awful spot. The first game didn't show it that well, because he had a very insane opening hand. But the second game clearly shows the problems with Mega Ray. And this is what is actually to be expected. Because you play so many different, it's almost like a combo deck, right? You play a lot of combo pieces and you have to draw them in the right order. And this is why Mega decks have such a hard time sometimes. And yeah, unless you face a matchup where you're heavily favored, for example, if you play against Mega Gardevoir, which it did in the finals of all the regionals that it won, then it's probably not going to win. In fact, Mega Rayquaza only won the regionals that had like 8 or 9 rounds of Swiss and a top 8 cut. So basically, only if you run really hard with the deck, if you get good matchups all day, and then get good matchups in the top cut, you will win the tournament. But if you have to play day 1 and day 2, then unless the meta is really in your favor, you are not going to make it. Because stuff like Parallel City actually exists, so you're in a bad spot. A really awkward spot, that is. And we do see he is able to attack with the Rayquaza, and he does, wow, so much damage. I mean, wow, 90 damage. So my Yveltal is at 120, couldn't even knock it out. So he basically just passed. Attaching these energies is not very good actually. Because he can't really, we established that already. Playing the 7 prize game doesn't do anything. I do see another Crushing Hammer, and I was like, if this is heads, I don't need to use Darkhold GX. If this is tails, I will just Darkhold GX. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I was like, there is no way he can win. I got the series. And time should be running pretty low. I do flip heads, but in my head it was like, whatever, really. Could have been tails. All of these could have been tails. It would have made no difference. So. And here I actually have a decision. I would have attached the Floatstone to the active one and just retreated and used Dark Hole GX. But now that I flipped heads on the Crushing Hammer, I can just wait for him to knock out the Yveltal and just set up my board even more. Like I have 2 Umbreon now, so even if he has that crazy Skyfield Lysander combo stuff, he's not going to do anything. 1 Umbreon goes down, I will probably remove his Stadium, then he only has 1 Skyfield left, and he's running low on Pokemon, because the Dragonite is prized. And I will just Dark Hole GX his last DCE, and what is he going to do? He has no Puzzle of Time, he cannot recycle the DCEs, he has no Special Charge, we established that from the first game, so I was like, yep, I'm just waiting now. You can just take all your time. It doesn't matter. I'm 1 game ahead. Time will eventually be called and I will win the game. I don't have to do anything at this point. I can just wait for him to finish the game. And here he even retreats to the Rayquaza because the regular Rayquaza does 10 damage for 1 energy. And if your opponent is an X-Pokemon, it does 60 damage. So he's dealing 10 damage, knocks out the Yveltal, but as we can see from the current board state, it doesn't matter because we in fact have no other non-X Pokemon. So 7 prize game. 7 prize game is awesome in a X format because your opponent wasted resources to knock out something that you're not sad about. In fact, you don't care if it gets knocked out. And we do see here another Crushing Hammer heads, and that is just brutal. Now, that Crushing Hammer heads doesn't really do anything, right? Because if he has a double colors energy, he will attack with his Mega Rayquaza, deals 90 damage. We don't care about 90 damage. Then we can just Dark Call him. If we flip heads, I mean, the difference between heads and tails in this game was completely irrelevant. Those Crushing Hammer could have all been tails, and everyone would be like, oh, he's so unlucky, how is he going to win that game? But as a matter of fact, it doesn't matter if I flip heads or tails, I win the game regardless, because he just doesn't get the combos and the Dragonite is prized. And he eventually will run out of Pokemon, and if he doesn't have enough Pokemon on his bench, he can't win the game, because he doesn't deal enough damage. If he has to 2 or even 3-shot Umbreon GX, how is he going to win? I can even start doing Shadow Bullet damage, and I do 90 and 30, and he's just doing 90, as long as the parallel is in play. So there is no way he can win. And actually, I'm not sure why he didn't just concede after the 3rd Crushing Hammer heads. Because he knows I can just Dark Call GX his last energies, and as a deck builder, you should be very well aware that you play no energy recycling, like Special Charge in this case. So how are you going to win the game? You can't just attach 3 regular energies and be like, yup, I don't need double colors, I can just do it with water energies, because Dark Call GX just removes 2 water energies and then it's game over. You also play the Super Rod, and you have to play Mega Turbos to get 3 water energies to your Mega Rayquaza. So what are you going to do really? And here he's playing the Sycamore, even discards 1 basic energy, and I was like, if he discards even the basic energy, what is he actually hoping to draw, right? It's not like he has any win condition whatsoever at this point. He's just playing cards. He's basically wasting. No, it's not wasting. He's waiting he's just enjoying the screen time, right? He's just saying, yeah, I'm on screen, I'm on stream, I'm getting streamed on Twitch, yeah, I'm on the front page probably. Oh man, great. I just play stuff. Oh yeah, I really like to draw with that shaman. I mean, he did draw into water energies and double colors, but what is he going to do? And I was just sitting there and be like, what are you actually going to do? I was actually talking to him and be like, what are you doing? I mean, I wasn't really that straightforward, actually, to be honest. I mean, you have to be polite and stuff. You have to be within the spirit of the game. But I was actually asking him, what is your strategy to win the game? And he was like, I don't know. And then the judge said, let him figure it out. And I was like, all right. We both know that there is no way he can win. Then I trainer's mail and I see a Team Flagrant, and obviously playing Team Flagrant doesn't make any sense, because if I just Shadow Bullet, the energy will just go down, So it's the same as playing Flagrant. But here I was actually thinking, I will play around everything, Maybe I missed a special charge. Maybe he just, I don't know, maybe I just missed all the puzzle of times, and here I license under the Shaman, so I can deal 90 damage to the Shaman and 30 to the Rayquaza. And my thought process here was, if he actually attaches a double colors to the Shaman, the last one, and uses Sky Return to get the Shaman out of range, he cannot attach the energy to anything else. So he will do 30, get the Shaman back, promote the Rayquaza with 140, because it would be free, right? It would be free if he just puts something else to the active because of Shadow Bullet damage. But if he does that, I can just use my Shaman, and then he has to knock out Tauros, Umbreon, so he needs 6 attacks to win the game, and then he really can't win the game. So I was like making a plan to get my Shaman out of the bench spot and not lose tempo at the same time, because I will still draw 2 prizes, right? And I will still get rid of his energy, and I will also get rid of his energy attachment, because he has to attach double colors to the Shaman. And as we can see, he actually does that, and he even Lysanders my Shaman, and I was thinking, alright, I can live with that. But it is clever to see that you are very far behind and your only win condition is to stall the game, and he's basically hoping that I don't have a regular energy to retreat, but as a matter of fact, I was planning on getting the double colors, because there is only one double colors in play, and the remaining double colors are still in the deck. And I still have supporter cards to play. So, chance of me missing the double colors energy are, I wouldn't say low. I would say they are basically non-existent. Right? My deck is very, very thin, and I have 3 double colors left. The chances of me whiffing are so low, and as you can see, I get the double colors energy. And, well, and I hear like, pew, Sky Return. I draw 2 prizes, and these are actually the only prizes that I drew during the entire game. And I promote the Tauros with Floatstone, because now if he can't knock it out, then I can just use the Mad Bull GX attack. So I'm pressuring him even more. And now he's going for it. You can see this is the last stand of him. He's attaching double colors energy, doing the Mega Turbo. He is ready to fight, and that will be the last battle of this Mega Rayquaza, because either Mad Bull GX or Dark Call GX will basically take out all of his energies. either way, either with knocking him out or just removing him regularly, and that is game. And also, by the way, time will run out in approximately 30 seconds. So he's going to play an N here. Oh, that is sick disruption, man. Sick disruption. We only get 4 cards, and we need so many cards on. Oh wait, we actually have everything set up on the board, so we don't care about N. We don't even care about Enhanced Hammer. I don't think there is anything that we care about at this point. Now, first of all, he still needs another Pokemon, and if that Skyfield goes down or that double colors energy, he will not attack ever again to deal enough damage, either with Skyfield and 180 or just in general. And we do see he's just playing the Shaman down, and time just got called, and the judges is making sure, like, yeah, you're turn 0, you're turn 1, you're turn 2, you're turn 3, and we're like, yep, sure. And here I put a die next to my deck, and I'm like, yep, I'm 1. And I delinquent him, and I was going to dark call him, and he knows it's like, yep, he's just showing me, yeah, those are priced. And I was like, yeah, I figured eventually you didn't bench them. And GG, I advanced to the top 32 with that game by basically not taking enough knockouts, but by just decking him out. Basically, I forced him into conceding because there was nothing he could do. So, thank you guys for watching. I know it was a long video, and it was also a long game, and yeah, Umbreon is cool. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.